Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, you're 7 fights into your UFC tenure. You're already having a title fight. Is there a part of you that this came even sooner than you expected when you first signed up in the UFC?
Yeah, when I first got to UFC, it just seemed like it was all happening so quick. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just had to learn some lessons along the way for sure. And it's like I do feel like it's like the trust the timing type of thing. So yeah, I feel like this is just all coming about all perfectly at this point in time.
Yeah, and I guess does it feel any different going through this week? Is there more media, more of a spotlight? Do you feel it at all, or not really?
Yeah, today is usually like a chill day for me on a normal like fight week, but I'm pretty much packed up to the bone with media, social media stuff, all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a little different, and it was cool just cruising up and down Vegas Strip and just seeing my face plastered everywhere, just seeing this poster and everybody on this card plastered all over the place was a real cool moment, honestly.
One aspect that isn't foreign to you about this experience is your opponent. You guys have been in there before, so I guess kind of talk to me about him, the championship version of him, and kind of where he's at right now. What kind of fight are you getting in with on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm getting in it with one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC. Definitely one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC Flyweight division. He has finishing skills on the feet, on the ground, and yeah. Very early on into camp, I had it put in my head that I got to put myself through hell to win this fight. Because to win this fight, and in this fight, I'm gonna be dragged through hell, and I'm gonna drag him through hell, and I just had to be comfortable in that fire.
You guys, you have not lost since you guys first fought. So I guess how did that fight change you? Do you feel like did you learn a lot from it? Is there now sitting there? Do you think about it a lot? Like, is it a big moment in your career?
Yeah, I think about that every day. Honestly, I feel like that's one of the losses that'll get to me the worst, just because it's like I never pictured myself ever getting finished. I've always pictured myself losing maybe a wrestling match and just like an actual firefight. I never thought I was gonna be able to lose those, but yeah, it changed my whole style of how I approach fights, how I want to approach fights, how I approach training, and all that stuff. I feel like Alexandre Pantoja made me such a better fighter, and has changed my mentality when I go in there, and not in like the negative. You're not gonna get that raw dog. I'm not gonna like. I'm going for it for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. That being said, I'm gonna be a calculated killer in there.
And how much do you feel like you've changed since that first fight, and how much do you think he's changed?
I think I've changed my style drastically, and you could see it in there. I used to walk forward and just throw a bunch of quantity punches and just kind of stay in someone's face, and I feel like these last 3 fights I've just slowly mastered a style that I really want, and a championship style that's gonna not only win this fight but win all these fights to come. And I feel like I can adapt my style and fight these guys in different style in many forms. I can fight on my front foot, I can fight on my back foot, I can fight in a taekwondo stance, I can fight in a boxing stance. I feel like I'm just far superior compared to these flyweights. And to be 100% honest, and I'm preparing for the best Pantoja, but if we're being realistic, I've watched Pantoja since the legacy fights, and I feel like he's throwing some of the same kind of punches, a little bit of the sloppiness and all that stuff this whole entire time. And it's like I feel like if we're talking about adapt and skill growth in this time period, I've grown drastically compared to him.
Did you feel like even with the Moreno fight, I know a lot of people were surprised by his performance that he beat Brandon. So did you kind of still see that complacency that you're talking about in that fight, kind of that plateau?
I wouldn't say complacency, but yeah, no, just certain tendencies for sure that I've seen in him in that Moreno fight. And that was the cool part about the Moreno fight, is there's 25 minutes of it. You can watch that for half an hour, and there's so much homework that we studied on and we could have got done on. So I feel like watching that Moreno fight, there was a lot to learn, but it was all stuff I already kind of knew and saw.
Thanks. Right, over here. This change that you said after that first fight, like just your approach to training and everything, was that based off a conversation with coaches? Was that just like a conversation you had with yourself? Like what was there a moment that kind of led to that change?
Yeah. I'm surrounded by really like honest people and like open people and people who aren't afraid to hurt my feelings. And it was a conversation with coaches. It was a conversation within myself. It was a conversation with like my family and friends around me of just like, okay, why is this stuff happening? And it's just like, because Because honestly, like I feel like what lost me that fight is just like a like what I fuck up all the time. It's just like I rush things. I try to get to the finish line and all that thing. And like if that's doing the dishes or if that's in a fight, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to get dishes done in 20 seconds, and I don't need to get this fight done in 20 seconds. I got 25 minutes to finish my opponent, and I can go in there and play with my food for a little bit, you know?
Do you think this change into your approach will even extend your career just based on, like, you know, recovery and not just being full throttle the whole time in the fight?
Yeah, 100%. I would go into fights. I have probably, I think, like 3 or 4 fights that are first-round finishes. Or not first-round finishes, finishes in less than a minute, which is cool. That being said, I've also been in fights where I shouldn't even got touched and I was getting hit because I was just taking unnecessary risk and trying to finish the fight. I felt like my whole entire career, it's like if we get into a shootout, if I'm getting into a shootout with anybody, I'm the more dangerous fighter and I'm going to walk away. That loss to Alexandre Pantoja is the first time I got in a shootout and I lost. And yeah, I took that to heart. And from here on out, I'm just a sniper. I'm a calculated killer, and that's how I'm approaching these fights from here on out.
And then I've heard interviews from you, and then he was just in here, and you both said the same thing. Like, this is most likely going to be the fight of the night. Like, that's what you guys expect. But historically, fight of the night means it's a close fight and it's a hard fight. So I would imagine you don't want a close fight. You want, as you said, a perfect performance. So I guess what type of fight are you expecting from yourself? Is it this back and forth war, or do you expect this masterclass performance?
Yeah, man, I want a masterclass performance. I feel like the skills that I progressed along the way and the style that I've adapted along the way, I feel like Alexandre Pantoja would be the perfect canvas to paint a masterpiece on for my title fight.
Then last one for me. When he was in here earlier, he said that he felt anyone ranked 10-1 could be fighting for the title in this division just because of how competitive and how talented this division is. So I'm curious, just because Alex has the belt, do you view him as the actual best flyweight in the world, or are there other guys out there that you view as maybe even more talented than him?
I don't think why Alexandre Pantoja is the champion is because he's the most talented in the division. I feel like he's beaten people that are far more talented than him. I feel like what Alexandre brings to the table is an iron will and a heart of a lion, and that's what people ask me. They're like, how do you break someone? Excuse me. How do you break someone mentally like that? And I feel like for the last few days, it's just like you can't. I'm not preparing to. I want to break him mentally. I'm preparing to break him mentally, but I know he's not going to break mentally. I got to go in there this Saturday and break him physically.
Hey, Brandon, back over here.
What's up, bro?
So, you know, your UFC debut, you're crying in your post-fight interview saying you don't want to go back to work tomorrow. Fast forward, you're fighting for a title on Saturday. Can you kind of reflect on that?
Yeah, I wasn't crying. I got eye poked, so I just want to make that very clear, you know. Yeah, no, I think about that all the time. It's just especially like I was cruising the boulevard, the Las Vegas Strip, and just seeing my face plastered, and it was just like, damn, like I don't know too many other people's journeys except for like my team directly, or like, but it took so much to get here. It took so much to get to the UFC, to get to the top 10. To fight for a belt is just like, I don't think anybody knows what you have to put yourself through, the sacrifices you make along the way, the people you lose along the way, the moments you lose along the way. That is just like, man, it took so much to get here that this Saturday I'm going to take it all in and I'm going to give it everything I fucking have, and I'm just going to embrace this journey to the fullest because, you know, this is a crazy moment, and this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity almost, you know.
On that same note, you were on the prelims your last fight. Dana said he fucked up. You said you're never going to be on the prelims again. Your next fight, your co-main event. Is that just...
You want to know something really cool? And I forgot about this. Is last time we were cutting weight at the... Last time I fought Alexandre Pantoja, we were cutting weight at the quarantine hotel. And I was running on the treadmill, and then he jumped on the treadmill and ran next to me. And we didn't say anything to each other. We gave each other like a head nod or whatever. But the last words we said to each other was just like, bro, why are we not co-main event on this card? Why are we not? We're like, we should be higher up on this card. And that was like something me and him said to each other. And it's just cool that 2 years later we're fighting for a belt for the co-main event.
And finally, what would bringing the belt back to Factory X mean to you?
So at my gym, I'm the longest student there, which is dope. I didn't even realize it until like this year, but it's like I'm the longest student that has been there. I've known Coach Mark for most of my life at this point in time, and I feel like the opportunities, the way I view my teammates as family member and all that together is just like, if I go out there and win this belt, I feel like I just improve all of our lives. I improve all of our opportunities. I can get more say in my teammates being on a card with me. I see Adesanya, he won a belt. His teammates 3-0, or he was 3-0 and got signed to the UFC. Is like, I have teammates that are 8-0 UFC fly. That should be a UFC flyweight, the UFC caliber. That's not in the UFC yet. Luis Goulet, and it's like that opens up opportunities and gates for all of us. And I don't think that I'm just winning this belt for me. I think I'm winning for the whole team for sure, and I'm winning for the city and the people around me.
Brandon over here. You mentioned on UFC Embedded that being an uncle is the best title that you carry. If you went on Saturday night, does that change?
Yeah, for sure. No, not at all. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, nothing changes with that. Honestly, bro, and I have it in my head too. Just like, fuck the belt. I'm out for revenge, and I'm out for notoriety, and I'm out for respect. I feel like I've been getting shitted on since I've been in this, been in the UFC. I've been a classic fucking underdog every single one of these fights, and it's like on Alexandre Pantoja, I get me being the underdog for sure, but fuck the belt, bro. I'm out for revenge, and I'm out for respect.
And I saw you mention the Legacy Fighting Days earlier. Both of you come from that promotion. Obviously, he came from the RFA banner, and you're from the LFA. I guess how cool is it to have two champs from that promotion now meet for the UFC belt?
Yeah, and it just it speaks volumes to that promotion. I think another thing that speaks volumes to that promotion, as far as me goes, is I came from LFA and then immediately jumped in the top 10 of the UFC division and was just fine. You know, I was just tried and true. Anybody that beat me in the LFA got signed to the UFC right afterwards, and it was just like that promotion is the reason why I'm here for sure.
And obviously, you're no stranger. You see how like all these title fights have been filled with rematches at the flyweight division. If you become champion, is there someone you'd like to see next? Maybe a fresh face?
And I'm not looking for a fresh face. I'm on that Raw Dog Revenge tour. I want to see Brandon Moreno next.
Thank you.
Brandon over here. I think both you and Pantoja are excellent in the scramble position. Do you feel that this is an area where the fight could be won and lost for both you guys on Saturday night?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if I don't think safely, if I'm not making calculated moves in there, then for sure that's a situation where I could put myself in danger. It's like, I'm going to scramble, I'm going to move, I'm going to create chaos, but I'm going to do it super calculated this time around. I'm not going to do it just to do it. But yeah, I agree.
Is that what you kind of took from the first fight that you fought with Alexandre? Like, you know, maybe you could have been a little bit better in the scramble?
Yeah, for sure. And just safer, and just thinking of like, just checking, crossing my T's and dotting my I's in the scrambles for sure. Because I was just like scrambling. And so far, like, I've just been the better scrambler out of everybody. There's been zero consequences to some of the mistakes I was making in jiu-jitsu. And I didn't really respect too many people's jiu-jitsu as far as it goes in the UFC or in any MMA fight for sure. But yeah, Alexandre Pantoja definitely made me tighten up that game. I've been training with Michael Lier, who just won Worlds this last week. And that was like one of the first things that I did as soon as I lost that fight was I switched and trained with the all jiu-jitsu team, and that's been paying dividends.
In your preparation, obviously this is 5 rounds. Have you had to change it up much? Are you worried about pace and stuff like that? Because both, like, similar enough to the scrambles, you guys set a pretty heavy pace in there as well.
Yeah, it's not something I'm worried about. It's something that I welcome. I feel like I have like a Prefontaine mentality of just like a suicide pace is the best pace, and you know, Saturday will be a good day to die, you know?
Thank you.
Brandon, why do you feel back here that Pantoja is the perfect opponent for you to implement your new style against?
I feel like Pantoja is an opponent that's gonna put us both in danger. I feel like Pantoja is gonna risk it all and not only put me in danger, but he's gonna put himself in a lot of dangerous positions. And I feel like if I'm just being calculated, I could capitalize all over that.
And also wanted to ask, you said there's been a lot of changes. Were any of these changes that the coaches had possibly suggested previous that it took you having the setback to open your eyes kind of to what they were saying?
Most likely, honestly, I don't know. Probably.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate you.
And Brandon, so whose idea was it to roll around Vegas in the Classic?
Oh, it was my videographer's idea. Yeah, I didn't. That's not up my alley at all. I almost wrecked that shit because I was over here looking at posts. I was like, damn, is that? I was like, look at that one. Yeah, so yeah, not my idea at all. But it was cool. That was actually really cool. I've never drove a car like that.
And then I saw your Instagram. You're already thinking about that post-fight meal. How do you like the hot wings? What sauce, and bone-in or boneless?
Oh man, boneless for the most part because I like a messy person. So yeah, boneless for the most part. But I don't know. I'm bored. I like medium, mild and stuff like that. So yeah, nothing crazy. But what I'm craving more than anything is just chips and salsa after I weigh in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.